Hey guys, Mac will take your range time. Welcome back to another episode of our 444 Marlin Ballistic Gel Block Test Series. And in this episode, we're looking at the Hornady 240 grain XTP bullet. Now, this is the workhorse bullet in 44 caliber, in my opinion, from Hornady. It's probably the all-time most popular bullet in 44 Magnum, and even though it is kind of designed as a 44 Magnum bullet and has a max velocity of 2,200 foot per second, we are going to test this in the 444 Marlin because you know, we will be driving it pretty hard into the gel block for the full power loads. But when we get to the down loads, and then we move data down to the 44 mag test from previous episodes, we'll be able to generate a look at the velocity range and the expansion that we would get from 444 Marlin for each one of these. So although we're pushing this thing faster than 2,200 foot per second, by the time we get out to about 70 to 75 yards, this bullet has slowed back down to that 2,200 foot per second velocity range. So targets inside of that, you're going to get some maybe dramatic effect from this bullet. You'll see in the gel block here when we hit the gel block 10 yards out. You'll see what I'm talking about. But at 75 yards on, this bullet comes back into the velocity range where it was designed to work. So we're getting ready to head out there and take a look at this and see how this does. Before we go, if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to share this content out with anybody you think that's interested in it, any of your reloading groups, especially your 44 mag groups. And there's an information tab up here, a little eye that'll drop down. There's a link there that'll take you out to my affiliate partners. And there's tabs now. I don't know if you've been to my webpage before, but I used to have over 200 affiliate partners there, and I have divided those up into 14 or 15 categories now. It makes it easier to select the category you want, and it breaks that down into a more manageable chunk. But if you hit the Shop Now button on any of those links for any of those affiliate partners, anything you purchase while doing that shopping for my link, I'll get a small commission back. That's what helps offset the cost of the page. And guys, I'm getting ready to order 4 more new gel block here, and I'm going to have about 450 bucks probably later this week, trying to keep some cleaner gel block for some of these tests coming up. I've got a brand new block that I just shot this weekend. Actually, this video, the Bear Creek Ballistics video, was the very first shots into that block. I have one other block that's been reheated one previous time. So I'm working with 2 fairly new blocks now, but I need to go ahead and grab some more to be able to keep up with the volume. I've got about 40 different bullets loaded up right now between 4 or 5 different calibers, including 444 Marlin, 400 Legend, 10 millimeter, 458 SOCOM, 50 Beowulf, 4570. I've got some 9 millimeter and some 380 over there to load. I don't have them loaded yet, and I also have a couple of more 357 and 38 special bullets to load up as well. So I do have about 40 different bullets loaded and ready to test, and I've got another 25 or 30 bullets on the bench waiting to be loaded. And guys, this is going to get me most of the way through the summer. So that's why I'm trying to get my gel block situated right now, so that when I get time, I can go to the range and shoot videos. Most of the time I try to shoot 1 day a week. I get 3 or 4 tests, and the weather's been so nasty the last little bit, I've really not been able to get out. So, and then it takes me 3 to 4 days or longer to get my gel block reheated and remolded to go back to the next range trip. Picking up more block will allow me to do possibly 2 days in one weekend, where I can go out and do 3 or 4 tests and get get that raw footage up, and then come in here and work on the spreadsheets and the ballistics charts and all the pictures and everything else of putting these videos together. So that's the goal here, is to be able to make this more efficient. So let's sit here and take a quick look at the loading, and then we're going to head right on out to the range and see how this thing does. So here's a look at the loading on this. We're using AMR 4198 on this one. One of the previous loads that we did in this last session, actually we had Hodgdon H4198. And guys, those powders are not interchangeable like some of the other powders, H110, Winchester 296. IMR 4198 and H4198 have some drastic differences in max loads as you compare them from book to book. So don't make the mistake of making IMR 4198 and H4198 interchangeable, because from the data I've seen, they are not. So this is the powder of choice. We're using Remington number 9.5 M Magnum rifle primers, and of course here is the 240 grain XTP bullet. And like I said, this is a little, it's being driven a little hard till it gets out to about 75 yards. But after that, it comes into its own. Here's a good look of about how much of this bullet is down in this 444 case. And of course, we are loading Starline brass. And I had a request a few weeks ago from one of the subscribers. He had commented on one of our posts, and he said, it would be nice if you would show the primers on the fired rounds. And I'm thinking, well, you know, that's a really good idea, because that is an important piece of data, especially if I'm putting data out there for a max or a near max load. It's always nice to see what those primers should look like. So I'm actually showing a case here that was one of the max loads of, well, that's not it. It was 48.3 grains for this bullet. And so this was the case from the max load that I shot. And I will have a close-up of this primer here in a few minutes, so you can see that even though this was a book max load, if you gauge your max pressures by the primers, this primer tells me that there's a little bit of room left on the head end of this. So, you know, it's always possible to push this a little faster if you need to. But, you know, that's something that if you've been loading for a while and you're used to seeing that, I would not recommend doing that unless you're practiced at doing that. So, all right, guys, don't forget, coming up here at the end of the video, we've got the spreadsheet, and I have also pulled over some of the velocity data from the 44 Magnum test that we did previously. And after we get back from the range, I will also pull in the 44 Magnum bullets from the 44 mag test and show them beside the bullets from the 444 Marlin. So lots of good data and information, lots of good visuals coming up here in a minute, guys. Right now, though, let's head on out to the range. All right, guys, so I'm at Kentucky Range Time, back out at Northeast Kentucky Fish and Game, and it's the second week in March, and the wind is absolutely just driving through here, gusting up to 25, 30 miles an hour. I couldn't put the umbrella on my slow motion camera, and I'm having to really watch. Everything's trying to blow away, having to keep everything weighted down with the gust that's coming through. But we're going to try to get this shooting in today. The mic, I've got this Rode mic now, and I've got the windscreen on it, so we're going to put the windscreen to a test and see how well this thing actually works, see if it will filter out a lot of this wind noise. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit left, but guys, honestly, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that on today. And not getting many days to shoot gel block testing, so I'm going to go ahead and push through this test even with the wind blowing. And at some point, you know, I may expedite these and try to get away from all this wind noise if it seems like it's going to be an issue. So first up, we're going to be running the, I'm going to try to get 4 tests in today. We're going to be running the 44 cal 240 grain XTP, and this is a load that I've already tested in 44 mag and 44 special. There will be velocity data from those 2 tests included with the velocity data from the 3 loadings I have here for this 444 Marlin. So my goal for today is to generate some velocity data and check the expansion on these. I mean, obviously it's 10 yards, so it's going to be skewed a little bit. But as we get into these lower velocities, it's going to simulate the expansion at farther distances. So I've got a 48 and a half grain charge. I've got a 43 grain charge, and I have a 38 grain charge. So I'm dropping in 5 grain powder increment drops between these 3 loads. This actually 45 and, writing's horrible. Actually, it's 48.3. That's the book max load for this. So I dropped 3.3 grains in the first grouping here. So we're going to put these in the gel block, and once I get the data here, like I said, we'll be able to compare that back to the expansion at certain velocities from the 44 mag and 44 special test. So let's get set up and going here, guys. Gel block at 10 yards. I've got a slow motion camera set up out there. I'm getting velocities on the Garmin Zero Pro C1, and I do have my bungee cords on the gel block today. We did a 400 legend test last week, and that was the day I come over to do all this, and I ran out of fuel for my torch, so I couldn't clarify my gel block after the first shot. So that kind of effectively ended the day. I'm having a hard time keeping my bouncer can on here because of the wind, but we'll go down and make a quick adjustment on that, and then we'll get going. If that can won't stay on there, I may have to put some gravels in it and make it a shaker. This wind is just not letting up. All right, 240 grain, 444 Marlin, shot number 1. And there it went. We're going to go with this anyway. Woo, about lost it. Even with the bungee cords on it. That thing with one cord, it kind of does a circle around the bungee cord. All right, so velocity on that shot was 2477.2, 3,269.6 foot-pounds of energy, and let's go check this thing out. Guys, so right here's our entry. This is the first shot in a new gel block, and all this debris blowing around here. It's like a mini tornado in here. It's blowing stuff up and sticking it on the gel block here. We have expansion starting by, honestly guys, a 1/4 inch here. We're getting expansion. We have pretty much full expansion by between a 1/2 and 1 inch, and by the time we get to 1 1/4 inches, we've got a wound channel here about 2 inches. This wound channel grows to about 3 inches up here and carries on nice and large down to about 5.5 inches, and then it settles down. We've got lots of fragments, lots of active fragments coming through here, creating their own little wound tracks, and we've got some copper jacket peeling off here at 7.25. Some more at 10, another couple of big chunks at 12 inches out here. And then we have this bullet laying out here at 17 inches. And get zoomed in here past the bungee cord. You can see it laying back there. We'll go over to the other side and see if I can get a better view of this. Here's the front end view. And you can see these active fragments popped out here about 4 inches in diameter, this circle out here. So, you know, inside of 3-4 inches, we got about a 4-inch diameter of wound tracks, these little small wound tracks coming in here. All right, and then here is a look from the other side, and really nice. Looks like it blew the gel open all the way down to the table right there in the middle. And look at some of the other fragments. And there's a look at the bullet down here at 17. It's laying closer to this side of the gel block, so it makes it a little bit easier to see. So, all right, guys, let's go back. We've got 2 more lower velocity loads to run with this caliber, and we'll get these in that gel block and see what they'll do. All right, so I had 3 loads with each of these in case I didn't get a catch. But since I got the catch on that one, we're going to go ahead down to the next lower charge with this. Okay, so I loaded 3 rounds with each charge just in case we didn't get a catch. And so since we did get a good catch with that and we saw a really nice performance, I'm going down to the next, the download charge now. This is 43 grains. This is 5.3 grains less. So we should get a pretty significant velocity decrease with this one. And we hopefully will be able to see some of that result in the wound channel too. So. All right, so I managed to double that up, looks like. And our velocity dropped to 2200.5 feet per second. And let's go take a look. Let's see what this actually looks like. Okay, so this wound channel is the one right here on the front. We're actually about a ½ inch this side of the first shot. And again, it looks almost symmetrical with the first shot, even with the lower velocity. We've got a lot of active fragments coming off here. Our expansion and everything opened up in about the same distance, which is kind of what you expect from an XTP bullet. We do have a big chunk of lead here at 5 inches. We have some more. Yeah, actually that's not from, yeah, it is too. We've got some copper chunks here at 7.5 and some more down here at 8.5. And this bullet curves downwards, and we're looking at 13.75 inches for what was left of this bullet. And that looks like it's got a very nice mushroom head on it. So let's see if we can get a view from the other side. All right, and there that is. So again, really great expansion. We did lose a lot of lead, a lot of fragments come off this bullet, and the lower velocity. And honestly, the biggest difference between these two loads was about 4 inches of penetration. All right, guys. So 2200.5 foot per second with that one, and let's go down another 5 grains of powder, and we'll see if we get that 200 and some plus foot per second velocity decrease between those loads. And if we're holding consistent, this one should put us down right around 2,000 foot per second, maybe just a little bit slower than that. And hopefully that'll match up really close with our 44 mag velocities, where our data picks up for the 44 mag and starts. So let's get this one going. All right, so this one is 38 grains. All right, and we got about 160, well, actually we got exactly 160 foot per second decrease in velocity. We're at 2040.5 foot per second. We were at 2200.5 for the previous shot. Kinetic energy has dropped to 2218.5 foot-pounds of energy. So, all right, guys, another really good shot, and I think we got a pretty clean catch on this one. So we'll get down there and see what we got. All right, guys, so wound track for the third shot starts right here. And again, by ½ inch, we've got expansion. We've got pretty much full expansion by 1 inch, and lots of active fragments coming off again. Nice large wound channel down through here to about 9-10 inches. Lots of leg fragments coming off down through here. And at about 11 inches, this bullet settles down and we get some straight line penetration all the way down to about 18.5 inches. You can see that bullet laying over there on the other side, right there. Let's go around to the other side, but that was 18.5 inches. Here is the entry for all 3 of those. And that's kind of a signature XTP thing. You can see you get like 6 big chunks of lead coming off the nose of this as it opens up, and that's even more pronounced in the 44 mag and 38 special loading. And here is the finished bullet here. So what ended up happening here was we ended up not losing as much weight as we did with the first shot or the second shot, and that extra weight allowed this bullet to penetrate a little bit deeper, even though it was a slower velocity. So as that bullet slows down, it keeps more weight, and therefore it retains more energy as it moves through the gel block, which allows it to push in a little bit deeper. All right, we'll get these dug out, back to the shop, and take a closer look. So back in the shop, and we've got these dug out, and here is a look at what we've got. And here's the bullet number 1, and you can see here this thing is mangled up pretty good. We were at 120 grains was what was left of this, of 240. So we lost half of our bullet weight in all those chunks and pieces that came off early on in the gel block as we were looking at that. Bullet number 2, this one was at 2,477 foot per second. This round here, shot 2, was the 43 grain charge. It actually hit the gel block at well, muzzle velocity was 2200.5. So we would have hit the gel block a few feet slower than that, not a whole lot. So this is right at the book max listed velocity for this bullet, guys. And this thing is just tore all to pieces. Not real sure what happened here, if it caught some of the other debris on the way through that might have helped do some of this. But this was laying together when I pulled it out. And then it was broke apart. And I think that some of this lead might have been wrapped around one of these fragments of copper. It was kind of holding them together still. So this was shot 2. And then, of course, shot 3 at 2,040 foot per second. Looks more like what we would see out of a 44 mag loading of this. You can see these pock marks right here. This is where this bullet actually did catch some of the debris from one of the first 2 shots as it went through. So retained weight here, these 2 pieces together was 97 grains. That's 40% of the original weight. This one is at 202 grains. So we only lost less than 38 grains of lead weight on this one, guys. So 2,000 foot per second is the velocity where, we're going to be able to keep this bullet pretty well intact to do what it's supposed to do. To recap some numbers here, penetration 17 inches here, 13 3/4 inches here, and 18.5 inches here. So really, really good performance out of this. So the ballistics chart coming up, if you take a look at that, 2,040 foot per second, and I have it here on the iPad. 2,040 foot per second translates to about 110 yards downrange. So, we're down there at 110 yards downrange, and this is the kind of performance that we could expect. Even though this bullet is more of a pistol bullet, we can still get some really good results with this with the rifle down to there. So, and wait till we pull in the 44 mag loads here next. So here's what's coming up in the ballistics chart, guys. It's a screenshot of this right here, just the way it sits. So we've got the base load up here of 2477, and that's at the muzzle. And so 2205 is hitting in here about 60, about probably 70, 75 yards out. That's where it gets back to 2,200 foot per second rated velocity from Hornady. And then the third shot at 2040 is hitting in here at about 110 yards, and that would have been bullet number 3 there that we were looking at a while ago. And then I've got listed down through here the 4 shots from the 44 mag test at 1716, 1541, 1275, and 1216. And so let's turn down here where we can see the bullets a little bit better. Get the camera readjusted here and get a couple of these lights turned back on now that we're not putting a glare on the on the screen from the iPad so we can see what we've got here. So here's what we had. The 20-inch 44 mag rifle velocity come in at 1716, and that puts this right at 200 yards. So this was the expansion that we could expect at 200 yards. The 9.5-inch Ruger Super Red Hawk velocity was at 1541, and on the this data is all for the max loading of the 444 Marlin, but at 1,541 foot per second, this is the expansion that we had, and this would put us down around 250 yards downrange. The 1275 out of the 4-inch Taurus. So look at that one. That puts us down at approximately 350 yards downrange. And this right here, guys, is the slowest data I have. This is at 1,216 foot per second, and that is equivalent to about 390 yards downrange. So roughly 400 yards downrange, we're going to be expecting to get this kind of expansion out of this 240 grain bullet out of the max loading of the 444 Marlin. And here's a good look at all of these. And this is where the data, the velocity data from these previous tests really comes in handy, the way I'm trying to do the videos on this. So this is what we started with, and this is what we ended up. So so we're looking at like 190 yards, we're looking at 250 yards, we're looking at 350 yards, and we're looking at 390 yards. This is the kind of expansion that we could expect out of this loading right here. 48.3 grains of IMR 4198 with this bullet. All right, guys, 48.3 grains of IMR 4198, and from looking at the primer on the previous round, and the pictures are coming up here, there's probably a little bit of headroom left on this round. Probably could go up another 2, 3, 4 tenths. Do some test loads, work it up, make sure that you're not getting primer signs or anything. And guys, that will be different for different guns. I mean, I might be able to go up another half grain in my rifle, but you might not be able to in yours. So be sure that if you're pushing these max loads, that you're actually running these up for your gun, not taking what my gun says is a safe load, but what your gun says is safe. And different tolerances on the barrel diameters and the bore diameters will create more pressure, and that can actually change a lot of stuff. So just be careful with that. Really good performance out of this. I mean, guys, I was kind of gushing on the Bear Creek Ballistics all copper, the HV bullet in one of the previous tests, but the XTP is just a bullet of its own. And across all the different calibers, all the different bullet weights that I've shot XTP bullets, they just do really, really well, especially for the cost of the bullets. I mean, you're getting a performance out of a lead bullet that's a fairly economical bullet compared to some of the new HV. The BCB bullet is fairly expensive, so you can buy like 3 of these to one of the HV bullets, and so that factors into loading habits for a lot of guys. I mean, how many bullets can I load for $1? So it's just a staple in a workhorse bullet, and that's about all we can say about it. I was really pleased that the 44 mag data came in so well with this. I know we pushed this a little hard on the top end with 444, but being able to look at the expansion at all the different velocities from the 44 mag data allows us to see what this bullet will do. And guys, if you can hit it, this is a bullet that I wouldn't mind putting on game out to 400 yards. I mean, we've proved that the expansion is still there. Let me reinforce this a little bit. So at 1,216 foot per second, that was our lowest velocity, and we still had 149% expansion on that. It expanded from 0.43 to 0.66. We had 231 grains of weight, so we only lost 9 grains of weight, and we had 29 inches of penetration. So this is the numbers that you could expect from this bullet at 400 yards. Weight retention, expansion, and 29 inches of penetration, guys, at 400. You just gotta do your part and lob the thing in there at 400 yards. The range chart, let me see if I can pull this back up here real quick. I've got my iPad closed up here. I thought I was going to be able to do that while I was talking, and it just got a little too involved. I had the iPad plugged in, charging already. So the drop in inches at 400 yards on that bullet with a 2-inch holdover on your sights is 53.5 inches. So if you've got a scope on that and you're dialing it in, you're going to be dialing in for 53.5 inches of drop to take a 400-yard shot. But if you can get it there, it'll do the job. And that's the important part. All right, guys, comments, questions, let's hear them. If you guys have run this out of 444 Marlin, I'm going to say a lot of you guys have, just because it is such a common 44 mag bullet. I don't know very many people that run 444 Marlin that don't also run 44 mag, and the bullets being interchangeable for reloading, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably loaded this pistol bullet in the rifle. So if you've done that, if you've put it in game, let's hear it. I want to hear the stories and any experiences that you guys have got with this. And guys, other than that, just another great test. We've got lots more coming up. I have 8 or 9 more bullets loaded in 444 Marlin. I have another 5 or 6 bullets to load in 444 Marlin to be able to get caught up on this series. That will get me caught up with all the 44 mag bullets that I want to test in this. We'll be getting into a lot of the leads, some WFNs, some hollow points, some cast lead hollow points here coming up, some powder coated lead coming up. We've got a WFN from Matt's Bullets that Perry Hubling sent in that he has powder coated for us, and so we'll be pushing that one pretty hard. And so yeah, guys, we just got a lot more coming up, so stay tuned for all that. Hit that like and subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and you'll get a notification when I put these up. I've been trying to do about 1 a week, and then maybe an accessory or a review video on another post later in the week, 1 or 2 videos a week. So I try not to overwhelm you guys with videos on these. So anyway, guys, Matt from Kentucky Range Time, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.